Panic selling has gripped the world of Magic the Gathering. Just how bad is it? How much money is being lost? In today's video, we are going to show you exactly what's going on. You're going to witness firsthand just how bad it gets when you hold too much of any one thing. Welcome back, everyone. MTG Moxman here. Thank you again for hanging out with me on my channel today as we discuss the fallout, no, not the set, but the fallout from this Commander banning. It's crazy to see the market's reaction to these cards being banned and how many people are trying to liquidate as quickly as possible to have things fall on the edge of a knife and know that every sale you make, you're losing a little bit of money. But there's an interesting upside to this video today. And what I want to talk about is not just the card sales, which I'll show you in a second, and how many of the volume we're moving, but I also want to mention to you all that somebody out there is still buying these cards, even though these card prices are falling. Remember, they're being sold at X amount of dollars and somebody is buying it. This is a lot different than if it was a stock market crash back in the 30s and nobody was buying anything. They were only selling. And that's why things just totally went gone. People are buying these Magic cards. They're just buying them at rock bottom prices, and the prices are only going to fall further because the holdouts, the people who still have a large quantity of these cards, are trying to kind of upsell things and kind of hold the price, and we'll get to that in the video. So let's start with the first card, okay? Let's jump over here, and let's take a look at Jeweled Lotus. Now, I'm showing you the first sheet from TCG Player, but this goes on for a couple of pages. Hundreds of sales. Now, the interesting thing here is the sales got really strong today, and they started to peter out around 3 p.m. A lot of things slowed down, and the market availability of these cards, the prices of these cards were a little bit higher than anticipated, especially if you're outside of the U.S. If you're trying to buy from TCG Player in Canada, you're not really saving a lot of money, as you'll see. So be aware of that if you're thinking about picking these cards up. But those people in the United States of America, you guys are saving a ton of money on these cards, and people are buying them. That's always something to keep in mind because, well, we'll talk about that in a second. Now, our next card. You're taking a look here at Mana Crypt. Again, look at how far the prices have fallen down. These are all in US dollars, by the way. This goes on for 3 pages at the time I took the screenshot. Now, that means 3 pages of anywhere from $79.99 all the way up to like $102, I think it was. So it's still really cheap comparatively speaking. And you can expect things like MTG stocks, which is, you know, it's a little bit slower. It's behind the bell curve. And you'll see those prices drop again tomorrow. And you'll see that reflected in the skid graphs, which I'm not going to show today. The bar graphs and stuff aren't going to matter for us. The line graph's not going to help us until tomorrow. And you guys can take a look if you need to, but you can see it in the prices we're selling at. And then, of course, our last card, Dockside Extortionist, is still falling as well, and you can see here the prices are falling into the 30s and 40s. And now the Dockside Extortion has sold a lot less copies than we saw for Mana Crypt or for Jeweled Lotus. This was the lowest selling of the 3, but it still sold hundreds of copies. Now, an interesting point that you might want to note right now is although these cards are selling, this is the beginning. There are going to be lots of people out there who are unaware, who don't watch YouTube, who don't read or watch the internet stuff regularly to find out content creation. They may just show up at an LGS and find out that they can't play it. I've seen this dozens of times in the past, and it's going to happen a lot more with bannings on cards or cards being speculated, and this is something you need to be aware of because those players, they're going to be in for a bit of a culture shock when they find out they try to pull a card and you guys are all like, you can't play that, it's banned. And then they find out they can't play it. Yes, most people have the internet, but it doesn't mean they're looking regularly if they don't play every single day. They may build their commander decks and shelve them for months on end. The second point here is speculators were the first to get out as quick as possible. Those speculators dove into the market, and by the way, they tried to hit up a lot of large LGSs, I know, and would try to sell 10, 20, 30 copies. They were unable to do so. The LGS was not willing to take them right now. At the current buy list price, they know it's going to go lower, so they're hanging in there to wait and see, because we don't know the long-term implications. Because a lot of people mention this on a lot of subreddits. I got emails, some text messages, some Discord private messages, where people were asking me, do you think a year from now or 2 years from now they're going to unban it? There's a couple of scenarios here. And if they unban it, people will they'll blitzkrieg. They will lightning strike, just like they are now. Not to be angry, but to buy the card back. Okay? They'll be angry later, but as soon as they hear it was unbanned, they will buy these cards back. So I do recommend, if you can, if you're not too deep, just hold on to your cards. You never know when bannings become banned or unbanned. You don't want to go searching for a card again. So you might as well hold on to it if you can. Of course, if you're one of those people who wants to cash out, you're going to cash out and get whatever you possibly can. But yes, there's always a possibility of cards being unbanned. But the second scenario is, and I've heard this a couple of times now, that I at least have to mention it to you all, just to bring the information, is a lot of people out there are starting to think that this was the rules committee kind of talking to Wizards of the Coast saying, if you keep, printing out crazy cards that do crazy things and make the game too quick, we want to slow things down. We want it to be a social, enjoyable game. Now, I don't think that's really their direction they should take, but they can do that, and then who knows what will happen. I've heard that enough times that I wanted to mention it to you, that this is kind of like a slap in the face of Wizards not to reprint crazy things, and also for players to understand your cardboard can lose a lot of value if it's not reserve list. Okay? So if it's not reserve list, it's going to get reprinted, or it could get banned, or horrible things could happen, so be aware of it. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Now, on the second half of this video, guys, the way things are shaping up, there's been such backlash, and so many people watching these videos over and over. Not just my channel, tons of channels out there, much bigger channels. The comment sections are like 1,000, 2,000 comments. Yes, there are some people who are happy things were banned, but there's a lot of people who spent good hard money, especially for versions of the Lost Caverns of Ixalan. Like, Wizards got their last printing out. I bought the card like 2 months ago. I haven't even played with it, and now it's banned. Now, I heard that last night, but I heard it a lot more today on a whole bunch of different channels. Not my channel, but other channels when I was reading comments. It is crazy to think how this is all played out, and how those couple of cards being banned is such an uproar. And by the way, most people are not upset about Dockside Extortionist. I want to keep that in mind. They're really upset at Jeweled Lotus because it was engineered to be a commander card, right? And the fact, like, a full art version used to go for $1,000. Remember that when it came out? The full art fancy foil, whatever version, was like $1,000. Think about the people who lost money on those. And then you've got, of course, Mana Crypt, which has been around forever. You used to be able to get it in a magazine for free. Way back in the day. You look it up. You'll see the little stencil drawing thing. That's the one you used to get in magazines and stuff. Guys, that card has been around forever, and most people are... There's some people who are happy, but most people are not. And I know whole pod groups now, they're just going to ignore the rules committee and say, we're going to play. We don't care. We don't care. I won't go to tournaments. If somebody at the table doesn't like the way we play, we'll play by ourselves. We have our own group of friends. And this just puts a tear in the community. It makes it so people who want to follow the rules committee versus people who don't, because it's a lot of fighting, a lot of arguing, and I don't think that's good for the game. I'm hoping people find a middle ground. I do have friends who have refused to take those cards out of their decks, I know, and I have friends who have lost a lot of money in the recent crash we just saw yesterday. It's brutal. It's like a bloodbath. But the sales we've seen, I'm expecting those sales to slow down in the next 72 hours. The slowdown will be because the stock has hit its low. The people who went the lowest in and out got their money out first, and the holdouts, the people who want to get higher value, will be the last people on the market. But that doesn't mean the price won't crash. That means things won't still go down. It just means they're not willing to let that piece of cardboard go for less than what they wanted to get out of it. If they say it's $150, I want my $150. And they don't care. They'll let it sit there for years. So those kind of people are around there. You see it even with things like Soldevi Excavations. There's like one or two people who sell for like $90. They just, that's the money I want. It happens. And that's not going to change. So when you look at the overall average sales, you'll see what the market's going for. The holdouts will be the last people left, and everyone else will have gotten what they wanted out of it. But I'm still curious to see why so many people bought the card. Why so many people are holding on. Okay? And buying up 5, 6, 10, 12 copies. I know they're getting it for a song of a price, but it just makes me curious to see what would happen if it does become unbanned, or if somebody reverses decision. I'm just saying. It'll be curious to see how the next 12 months goes and if things get smoothed out. You guys can drop some comments in the comment section. You guys let me know what you're thinking here about this whole banning and about all the sales of all these cards, because the financial implications, the amount of money wiped out of the market is now really starting to show up the 24 hours later, and the next 72 hours will be critical on actually massing up the card sales. Will these sales make my top 10? That will be the real question this weekend, to see if any of these cards sell over 6, 7, 800 copies to actually make a top 10 video for these high-priced cards. Guys, tune in this Saturday. We'll do the top 10. But right now, let's just see how things go. Thanks again for hanging out with me on the channel today. And a reminder, if you enjoyed today's content, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on your notification bell. I do put out new content every single day. I'll see you guys soon. Have a great one. Hey guys, a big shout out and thank you to the fantastic patrons of my channel. Because of the support I get on this channel, I get to create daily uploaded content for everyone to enjoy on YouTube, sure. But I also get to talk about Magic the Gathering, have the conversations with you, the fans of the channel, and just get to really hash this stuff out. So thanks again, everyone, for being there. To my YouTube membership members, to my patrons. Thanks again, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. It's bad. It's so bad. Whew. Okay. You're past the yellow brick road. You got past the flying monkeys. The witch is under the house and the toenails have curled right up. And this is the ramble and the jamble. Jamble. You guys know it's true. So, you guys are here at the end, so let's take a look at this here. We've got Dockside Extortionist at 346 sales in a 24-hour period. We've got Mana Crypt 612. That's probably going to make a top 10. 612. And then we got Jeweled Lotus at 731. And I'm still going. So, guys, I'm expecting more sales the next couple of days. And yeah, it's going to be this is going to be felt for years. The anger and frustration I'm seeing from people, and it is well-founded, don't get me wrong, and I empathize. I just don't, because it didn't impact me as much, I'm kind of like, oh. But I have friends who lost a lot. And I know a couple stores that were offered large collections of different versions of Mana Crypt. And it didn't go over so well. Guys, this is going to be something for the ages. This is going to be a piece of Magic history. And I still say, whoever the rules committee is, yeah, I looked up their names and stuff. I don't care. They're just a group of people trying to help the game out and make up rules that, fit the game. I'm not against that. I just think there should have been more consensus thought. Actually, wait. Hold on. I know. I don't edit this stuff. I get it. There was consensus, they said. I'm going to take that back. They said they've talked about this for a long time. Did you give people any indication that you were getting rid of maybe Dockside, sure, but the other ones, no, and you shouldn't have. You should have talked with Wizards and said, don't ever add any cards like this again because we'll have to ban this stuff. It's making the game too crazy. Couldn't you have said that? Couldn't you have worked that out? Just saying. Anyway, thanks again, guys. Ramble, jamble.